Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for the semi-final of the Under-20 Championship, New Zealand versus France. These two sides played in the group stage, and it was a last-minute thriller. In the end, New Zealand winning that game by 1 point, 27 points to 26. They were down by 11 at halftime. They fought their way back into the contest, and with some brilliant work from Dylan Pledger, I believe, they just got over the line. Rico Simpson also getting that last kick. But this game, it is going to be very close. I have a feeling we've already seen England make their way through to the final of the Under-20 Championship, getting themselves the win over the Irish. But now New Zealand, this is their opportunity to step up and once again take down the French. They come in as underdogs, though. And this French side, they are full of stars. And it is going to be a very exciting game. Looking through at New Zealand's starting lineup, like I mentioned, Dylan Pledger. I felt like he was very strong in last contest between the two sides. We saw quite a bit of Liam Jack as well in that number 5 jersey, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do at line-out time. Now, I did notice last time that these two sides played, New Zealand's bench was what really made the impact. While they were on the field, New Zealand completely back into the game, a rolling maul try, a massive counter scrum. So I think that the bench in this game is also going to be extremely crucial. But looking through at that French side, there are a lot of future stars. We will see these names in the international French side in less than 5 years, if not maybe less than 3. We look at someone like a Tuolangi from only last year's competition who is now signed with the French international team. But in terms of their keys, of course, that combination of Carbonneau and Royce, they are going to be two to watch out for. And then also Boz Maron, or Marin, I should say, out on that 11 jersey, left wing. Here's another one to keep an eye on, but we are almost ready to go. The national anthems have been sung, ladies and gentlemen. We have got there, and at the chat, I am says Connor. We've also had I am Nutty giving updates on all the other games, which is, of course, greatly appreciated. We have got there, New Zealand got spanked by France last time. I mean, they did win by 1 point. So, first half, though, I would actually, well, not so much agree with you, but I would say yes. New Zealand did struggle in that first half, but then the second half is where they seem to really come into their own. Will you do England versus Spain? We will not, no. I'm probably going to watch it, though. But it would be my first game of the Euros that I've actually watched, which is really bad on my part. But then, unfortunately, a lot of the games have just been overlapping with other matches that we've been covering on the channel, so we never really got the chance to fully enjoy the competition. Same with, like, Wimbledon. Someone was, like, a week and a half ago, I think it was, saying about how there's a New Zealander who made it through to the quarters. I was going to try and watch it, but just never got the chance, sadly, due to all the prior commitments. But half eligible player are in Argentina, arrested or not, says I am nutty. And also we've got their opinion on the Box Under-20. Unfortunately, like, not their best tournament. I think it was their worst ever finish that they have had. They've been beaten by Argentina twice, which I think will get to them a little bit. I know that the international side in the Rugby Championship will probably fix those problems that the Under-20s had up against Argentina, but yeah, it wasn't the competition for them. That game up against the English as well, like, that could be a loss to the eventual winners, so as much as that one will sting, it's still, you know, I'd rather be beaten by the team that wins the whole thing. I feel like that's something. Half of South Africa team were under-12, or 2012 under-20 winners. Sip Daddy. I think that's supposed to be Sup, isn't it? But Sip, I guess in your case, Sean, does also work. Or the players to watch for New Zealand. Oh, right. So Liam Jack in the locking duo. He's actually Chris Jack's nephew, I believe he is. Then you've got Dylan Pledger, I would say also to keep a good eye out for. Basson, he was actually in the Hurricanes dugout near the end of the season. So I'm wondering whether or not maybe he will go from the Hurricanes under-20s to maybe the men's side in the near future. Stanley Solomon, he's not the biggest player, but he certainly has got a lot of pace out on that left wing. And then I'd probably go with Tui Valala at number 13 for New Zealand, just because of that strength. It's going to be an exciting game to see all those men in action. But for the French, there are also so many key players. You've got Massa in the front row. Then number 6, Khwiri Karaba, I believe it is. He's another one to keep an eye on. He actually really did well up against New Zealand in the last game. How does it take under-20 to make New Zealand jersey by average? does it take under 20 to make their jersey? I would assume probably about the same amount of time as the other sides. I think their sponsors Adidas. They're normally pretty good at making, clothing. They've done it for a while. But it's very nice with the Under 20 World Championship on their badge as well, I should mention, though. They have made that little modification compared to what we normally see for the New Zealanders. Now, sadly, they do not have this game on World Rugby's YouTube channel by the looks of it. I was just checking to see whether or not this one was going to be a free-to-air game. Of course, there's probably illegal streams everywhere that will have the contest, but we are just about to kick off. Ladies and gentlemen, in this one, it's going to be an entertaining game. I feel like it's going to be an action-packed 80 minutes, but kicked off by the French. It's going to be long from Royce and into the 22. New Zealand do take the mark. I hate the law of calling a mark on kickoff, says Mr. Fantastic AJ. And of course, this is more of just a trial, so I don't think we'll see it translate into the international game. It's free on Rugby Pass, depending on geography. Says I'm nutty, so that is good information. I know that for us here in New Zealand, we have to pay for Sky, unfortunately, as Rugby Pass broadcast in New Zealand. I don't think it is if Sky is showing the game, if that makes sense. For a moment, we'll go like that, Rugby Pass TV. We'll see what we can see on there, but currently France are on the halfway line. Mizzo got nicely. And already France looking like they're going to have a nice backline here. Royce gets it away to 30. Wanted the ball on the inside, but wasn't quite able to get it going. That's going to be a tackle made by New Zealand, but the penalty already going against them. How many of these fine young mans are coming over to the Hurricanes? Says Razor Robinson. I think, you'd probably see, depends on how long you're saying. Like next 2 years, probably 3, I would say, will make their way in. That's actually where Peter Luckeye came from. He was from the under-20s system. Maybe you get Oz versus Wales. Life says I am nutty. Probably. So what do we got? We got USA versus Canada under 20 is the game that we've got here in New Zealand. So, yeah, we don't get the same ones, sadly, as overseas, but then we do get the games that they don't show here in New Zealand. Nice run here from Basin, I should say. Looks like the ball is still there for New Zealand. Counter-attack coming in. Very nice work from France. And it looks like they have managed to turn over the ball. But they did opt to go for the corner there, France, rather than going for the 3 points when it was available. That is another massive driving run from Castro Ferreira. And another penalty. This time, there's a croc roll by White. So that's actually going to be the penalty to New Zealand. I have the drill, they have drill screen. Says I'm nutty. That looks like a Wellington hooker, short, stocky, and fast off the mark. Says Razor, what type of Wellington hooker are we talking, Razor? That one's going to be kicked towards the touchline, and it doesn't find touch. That is a mistake early on from New Zealand that they can't really be affording to make. Definitely not after the way that they started. That is a 50-22 as well for France. That is a sensational kick from Hugo Reis, or Royce, I should say. Now, when you talk about future stars for France, even though he's extremely young in his career, he has been compared to someone like Intermac in that 10 jersey, the way that he is able to conduct his back line. And that was just a fantastic kick. But it all came from New Zealand missing touch. I got the dual screen up. Wales need to win, bring us some joy. Here's Mr. Fantastic AJ. It's going to be thrown in, contested by New Zealand. Getting a fingertip to it was Jack, but it is back on the side of France again. 3 minutes into the contest, and it has been all France in terms of the possession stat, with the exception of a couple quick touches for the Kiwis and a bursting run round the side of the breakdown. It is again going to be Joe Hure Karaba who does score the try for France, and that is within the first 4 minutes. Quite the start to the match for the French. He plays Champions Cup, says I am nutty. Yep. Like a lot of these guys, or at least a fair few of them, have got top 14 contracts. We did see a few of them help him prepare to lose for the final, assuming he's La Rochelle. Says I am nutty. And Amorco, Coles, Tyrone Thompson, etc. Although Tyrone Thompson, he was a Chiefs boy first, wasn't he? In fact, he is still, oh no, he was Hurricanes first, wasn't he? Then went to the Chiefs. And morning there, Kiwi lads. How's the family lunch? Did you spoil your mum's presents? Says Blues Day. Yeah, lunch was good. overall. I did get the all-day breakfast, although, to be fair, it wasn't the best breakfast I've ever had, sadly. But I'm still happy enough that I could get an all-day breakfast. France score says, I'm nutty. They certainly do. Cheers for the commentary for this match. Says Blues Nate. And did you watch South Africa under-20 versus Argentina under-20 before the match? I did not, but I saw the score, which once again, sadly, for the junior box, of course, I haven't seen the game, so I can't really judge how they played. But once again, though, Argentina seemed to be a little bit of their bogey team. I think that they beat them, is that 3 in a row, or did South Africa beat Argentina in the Rugby Championship? They may have beat them in the under-20 Rugby Championship, in fact. Now, going to be kicked high by Carbonneau. And towards the touchline, and that one has just bounced out, and Argentina were dominant. South Africa played better. Says, I'm nutty. And true. Says Blues Nate, and the Pumas won. And 3 times this year. 2 times this comp, and 3 times this year. So they did they beat them in the Rugby Championship? I can't remember what happened. I know that they drew with New Zealand. No, they would have. South Africa would have won because they lost to Australia and they finished 2nd overall. Springboks only South team to lose. Says Blues Nate. Yeah, this week Argentina got the job done up against the French, which was great to see. Now it's going to be charged down. In fact, there was an accidental offside, I believe, from the French player, but it is going to be play on. New Zealand now in possession with Aki in number 13. That is Aki Tuivalala. And unfortunately, says Blues Nate, there's going to be a knock-on advantage against New Zealand. Now France back in possession. Biasotto kicks it in behind. It's up for Rico Simpson. He certainly needs a big game here up against this French side that bring physicality. When they're in the breakdowns, they almost manage to get the turnover. Maybe I have to cook my own breakfast. Maybe that would be a good idea. Other than the fact that I would, of course, have to cook it. But that way I could get what I want in it, you see. It's going to be a nice short ball. It's Jonathan Lee. Another attack and run from Will Martin is Berry play, who didn't play last year due to World Cup. Says I'm nutty. Berry. What position is he? His name rings a bell. Oh, that was almost intercepted, but now it's an opportunity for France out wide again into the hands of Bosmaroin. He's almost gone on the inside, and he has passed it away to Royce, who offloads, and it's the try for France again. They will check it, but that is sensational work right there from the French. They are 7 minutes in, and they have scored twice in this contest. They just want to check the touchline. Yeah, start cooking at 5 a.m. You won't wake no one, says Robert. And I can't believe the Box lost yesterday against Ireland by 2 drop kicks, kicked over just like the 1999 Rugby World Cup, when Lemon kicked a drop kick over for midline versus South Africa to get into the final. Right, I just heard the commentator say it was a knock-on, it's fine. I assume that's a knock-on from New Zealand, or else that's not good. And I swear Frenchie come on New Zealand. But this is going to be inches. Stays in the field of play, and he's going to be fine there, Hugo Royce. A bit of sensational work from that man again. Now 7 minutes in, New Zealand will be down by 12. I haven't jinxed them, have I? This is the first under-20s game for New Zealand that we have covered on the channel. The last game that we covered was South Africa versus New Zealand. That was a draw. So we haven't actually covered a game where New Zealand have won, which is not ideal. We did, sorry. We covered that game between the New Zealand under-20s and Australia, didn't we? Did Mum come on for that stream? I think she might have. As my brain slowly kicks in, South Africa commentators says I'm nutty there, but great finish again from the French. 12 points to 0, and the kick is good. So it makes it 14-0 already after only the 8 minutes. That's going to be slapped back by France, but it is cleaned up now for New Zealand. Control of the position there. Come on, I will go like that. I will go like that. There we go. To move some tabs around. Outplayed you. They've got the penalty advantage here, New Zealand. Going off now to Tom Allen in France. Well, recently put their A-plus game for this competition. Plus, most of their squad play senior rugby on a regular basis. Says Geza. And yeah, the future does look extremely bright for French rugby. The fact that these young players are coming through the rankings and already they have got themselves professional contracts. Like, it's one of those ones, it is interesting because, of course, most of the time we don't see sides get into this position of having a lot of professional players, but it's not like against the competition. So, they're going to be able to get that experience in top 14 and then come into a competition like this and already feel like they've been there. Will you live stream South Africa versus Portugal next weekend? I really think that Rugby Erasmus will make a lot of changes to give some other players playing time since Portugal are not really that big in rugby. We will be streaming it, and we will also be doing our prediction this week of who we think Rugby Erasmus will go with. It's going to be a very intriguing one. I told you the Springboks is a bunch of clowns, and you guys did not like what I said. Says Outlaw, I mean, a 1-point win is great for Ireland, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, that one could have easily gone either way. That's going to be a penalty try to New Zealand. That one could not have gone either way there. But if it's a penalty try for sacking them all, someone is going to the bin. Yes, they are. And France are now going to find themselves down to 14. That'll be number 6, the man who did score himself the try recently. But that now makes the score 7 points to 14. But yeah, we had some brilliant rugby over the weekend. The first few hours of like the original first international games weren't that close. But then we had Samoa, Spain, which was 4 points separate. Then we had New Zealand, England, which was 7 points. Wales versus Australia, which was only separated by 8 points. 1 separation between Ireland and South Africa. 2 point separation between Japan and Georgia. And then also Argentina versus France, I think, came down to the wire until the Argentines managed to score themselves a last try to win by 7 or 8, I think it was. And that one I was right, dude, no hard feelings. Says Outlaw in there. We have got their Wales juniors playing like the seniors. Hopefully they can take the chances and not kick them away poorly. Wait, so that's a bit of a double-edged statement, Mr. Fantastic AJ. Playing like the seniors, does that mean they're playing well or does that mean they're playing badly? Genuine question, by the way. I'm not like taking the piss or anything like that, but I know a lot of people have said that Welsh rugby at the moment isn't going the best, so I don't know whether that's a good thing that they're playing like the seniors or not. Rolling more scores, says Mr. Fantastic AJ. I assume that means they're playing well then. And lol well, says Mr. Fantastic AJ. But yeah, you can probably see why there was a little bit of confusion in there. Right, it was actually Malatiri who did make his way from the field. Why do we not have a third test between South Africa and Ireland? I don't want a 1-1 draw of the series. I actually need a winner of these. I really need a winner of this series who's actually better between the sides. I mean, it certainly means that it's going to be entertaining the next time the two sides go head-to-head because both sides still feel that they are the best. And, like, that's a good thing in some regards, depending on which fans you do talk to in terms of, like, there's always some bad eggs amongst the dozen, but overall, I feel like some people have enjoyed this series as just a great showcase of rugby in terms of, like, both sides having that rivalry building. A few fans got carried away, as you will always see, unfortunately, with social media being a thing, and that one is a good strike from Royce, but it's actually missed away to the side. 12 minutes in, 14 points to 7. And, I mean, Hugo Royce has at least one Champions Cup medal at 19. Yeah, so he's pretty experienced in big matches, I guess you could say. So a semi-final for him. I know it's international, but he already looks like he's been there for a very long time. And that experience is invaluable at this level. Exactly right. Now, a big run forward from Castro Ferreira, like they've said already, representing Toulouse. And now another offload on the outside, Biasotto. Let's get tackled last year. France did 2 in Japan. They won an autumn tour. Says I am nutty. Oh, that's close. They don't quite get it. But yeah, France have a very good record in terms of the under-20s. And because I know New Zealand headed north. I thought, it might have actually been the women's side, actually, now that I think about it, who headed north and lost to France and England, I believe it was. It might have been the Black Ferns, who had a big win over Australia recently. I just want that rivalry to be close, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be a possibility. Tell you what, no one can tackle this man, Barnaby Massa. Now, nice pass on the outside. France are in again, and it's the big man, Matthias Castro Ferreira. 3 tries in 13 and a half minutes here for the French. They are on fire in the semi-finals. And come on, the Baby Blacks, says Manny M. And who won Sands under-20 inaugural cup. So in the end, New Zealand did get themselves the win. South Africa was second. And then I think it was Argentina, then Australia. No, it might have been Australia, then Argentina, in fact, for the order. Or it might have been the other way around. Actually, now that I think about it. But either way, it was South Africa number 2, New Zealand number 1 for the rankings. And both sides having slightly different paths. They did actually draw in their opening game in absolutely brutal conditions. Australia just scored. Says Mr. Fantastic AJ. I just realised Wimbledon, the final of Wimbledon, would have already happened at the time that I'm talking. Wouldn't it? I went to bed for a few hours just because that was going to be my night's sleep. And yeah, I know that Djokovic was in it versing someone. Don't know who he played. Don't know if he won. I assume if he did, though, someone would have... No, would people say it if he won or if he lost? I feel like they're more likely to say it if he lost. So I assume that he actually won it. At a guess. Blackburn 62-0. Says Manny M. A common joke now. Says I am nutty. Australia just scored. It's 5:17 a.m. So you won't want to miss Euro final, says Tab. Well, that starts in an hour and a half, doesn't it? Which is roughly when this game ends. So it's going to be quite nice timing. Join the Marines. We don't miss. Says I am nutty. Alcaraz mopped the floor with Djokovic. Nice. Mop the floor means it must have been, was it quite one side? Was it a quick game or was it drawn out a little bit? That's going to be a bit of a mistake there from Basin. But up now, getting back up to his feet here, Xavier Harris. Now we've got a Xavier Tito Harris and also a Xavier Harris. That's a nice attack and run from Dylan Pledger, and he's going to score the try. That is a great one as well. Alcaraz beat Djokovic straight sets. Ooh, that's not very good. Because Djokovic only recently came off a knee surgery, didn't he? Like, one that was supposed to take like 12 months. Took him like a month and a half or something like that to get over, which is quite incredible. New Zealand scores, says I'm nutty. They certainly did. Springbok is still world champion. Get over your feelings, my friend. And it was a draw, one each, says Frederick. I think everyone's disappointing there wasn't a third, wasn't it? Can I give you a double thumbs up? If you give it a double thumbs up, you will take the thumb away. So it would actually be not liking it. So if you're going to do that, you got to do it 3 times. You got to keep it on the odd numbers. But only if you haven't pressed it already, then you keep it on the even numbers. And Gezer has said yes. And there's, oh, that is a great bit of work from Dylan Pledger. This game has already had 5 tries scored. We're having a try every 3 minutes or 4 minutes at the moment. Currently only 16 and a half minutes through. What is the highest scoring game that we've had in the under-20s? I know that we've seen a couple relatively high ones when it comes to some of those slightly lower ranked sides such as Georgia. I know that in one of their games, Australia had a really good lead and then I think it got rained off, didn't it? Which is something you don't say too often for a game of rugby. Australia 7, Wales 5. Says I am nutty. Now Pledger, New Zealand on their 22, Rico Simpson. The ball on the inside and another big shot coming in on Jonathan Lee. And Baby Blacks fighting back. There's Manny M. And Frederick world champions to world chumps already. No, like there's still a lot that can go right for these South Africans. But it's interesting, isn't it, that it was like, it was their most experienced ever lineup, which I think is going to be a bit of a weird one. Because, like they always say, experience wins games. But in this case, unfortunately, that drop kick, that's a great bit of work in the breakdown there from France. believe it was Lino Julian, managed to get the turnover. But, like, Andy Farrell, I also knew this at the time, but I don't think I mentioned it on the live stream. It was his 50th match. Oh, no, I did mention it in the build-up. But his 50th match for the Irish, and that is one that he will remember, I think, for the rest of his career now. Fiji versus Georgia. My bad. Says I am nutty. And disrespectful calling Georgia easy beats. Says I am nutty. I didn't exactly say they were easy beats, but I said the lower ranked sides in the competition, I believe was the wording. But, like, any side, like Fiji versus Georgia was a very close game, only separated by a few points, I think, in the end, when the Georgians got themselves to win 40-36, I think it was. Argentina won, but still didn't win, says Katsanel. And South Africa versus Ireland was an amazing watch, such a brutal encounter. Yeah, it's not often you see that many points scored with only one try, but that is just because, like, yes, both sides were making a few attacking mistakes, but the defence overall, like, they were making the crucial tackles and then turnovers coming at the right times. France lining up the 3 points here with Ruiz, and he has got another one over after 19 minutes, and it's 24 points to 14. What's your definition between first tier, second tier, and third tier based off world rankings? Says I am nutty. I don't really look that deep into it, to be honest, because no matter what, it starts an argument, and I try and avoid those. And does the Rugby Championship? Oh, okay. He's clicked into too early, I would say, Geza, but I'm looking forward to the second part. Does the Rugby Championship, I'm trying to think of what it could be, affect the world rankings? Yes. Oh, start next week? No. No, we've got 4 weeks until the Rugby Championship does start. I just woke up. I had no idea you were filming, says Lave. Welcome in. If you are keeping well, France is winning the next World Cup. It's inevitable, says Katsanel. So you have chicken tonight? I might do. I don't know what I'm going to have yet. I feel like I want to make something nice. You know when you just want like a home-cooked, good, like hearty feed? I don't know, something with chicken and bacon or something in it. Bit of cheese, pasta, I don't know. We'll get something going. I'll probably end up just having toast, which isn't quite as exciting. Felt sorry for Bunny Aki last night. Big smile on Uso's face. Says Blues Nate. Well, that's the same with like James Lowe. Andy Farrell said it. Throughout the week, he didn't really hear from James Lowe. He came to training, he did the work, and then he came back and managed to help his side because he was absolutely gutted from that last game. He didn't take a position. So Chicken says, I am nutty. I mean, I will accept the fact that sometimes I am too impartial for my own good, but at the same time, I would rather not start a riot because, like, as soon as you say a side is lower than some people think they should be, even if you are looking off statistics and looking at correct information, you will still end up getting a bit of stick. Damn sausage fingers, says Geza there. Now, it's going to be a line out here. I just put a leg of lamb in the crock pot. Oh, that'll go all right. You in New Zealand? I'll come for dinner. Wait, hang on. No, you must not be. I was just looking at the time. It's 5:24 a.m. If you're cooking one from now, you're having it for breakfast, but hopefully it goes all right for your drink on the moon. That's going to be a nice inside ball from New Zealand, who have moved up to the 22. They are still down by 10 points at the moment. YouTube commentary is good for your subs. Says, I am nutty. Yes, 90 Mile Beach. Says, drink on the moon. Oh yeah, I guess crockpot is a big day. So not you opinion, even just facts is good thing for views. Yeah, although that didn't go too well last week or the week before, I made the statement, which is a factual one. I said that, like in my preview, right, so a preview of a match that was taking place, I said that Ireland at the moment have won the last 3 against South Africa. I got some abusive messages, like the ones that YouTube couldn't even put in the comment section, all because I stated what the last 3 like results were. I just said the last 3 have gone one way. Yes, they have gone the other way in the past, but the last 3, if we're basing it off the last head-to-heads, and yeah, that didn't go down well, unfortunately. Cinderella just woke up. Welcome in, sunshine. Says, the Blues Nate, the All Blacks make that. Says, Jerome, a very high-scoring game, unusual nowadays. I know it's juveniles, but still. Says, Katsanel, even if position is fluid, That's the nature of public opinion. Says, I am nutty. And yeah, you're probably a perfect example of someone who will say what's on their mind, even when it's controversial, I guess you could say, I am nutty. That's why I think someone banned you for a long time. Just stating a statistic, some people are, says Geza, good and bad. And Hamish, did you see the All Blacks game? That was an outstanding comeback. But I had no idea what your reaction was because I didn't join the stream. Bowden Barrett was a legend off the bench. Says Lave, yeah, Bowden did extremely well. Geordie Barrett, underrated Barrett for that game. Looking through at some of the stats, he made 17 tackles throughout that contest. Actually set up quite a bit for the All Blacks as well. How many games has France lost before the 1-point defeat in the World Cup? I know that they lost at least one in their Six Nations because they did finish second overall. No, in fact, they might have finished third. I think England might have got second place in the Six Nations. There's going to be another advantage here for New Zealand. 24 minutes in. Gareth in pants. Says, I'm nutty. I feel like you've just literally shown exactly what I said earlier on about how you'll state your opinion, whether it's right or wrong, joking aside. Oh, there's a bit of push and shove here between a couple players. It looks like the French number 6, Charaba, is in there. Right, I can hear people saying calm down, and there is a bit of a French accent there. It looks like more push and shove in the background. There are tensions in this game. You can tell that both sides want to be the side that get themselves the victory. Okay, don't escalate it or it will be a penalty next time. And whoever that was for New Zealand, I think it might have been Liam Jack, who pretty much said the only reason I escalated it was because they weren't getting off our player. And France lost to Ireland in the Six Nations, then put 50 on England. Says Geza. Okay, it was 3-on-1 and I saw a fourth run in or something. Or I saw 4 run in. There's the comment from the ref. England versus France was the game because of top 14 inserts. Where's the brother Gareth? Big South African Kahuna, sorry. And France got hammered in the Six Nations. Says I'm nutty. Gareth should be about somewhere, I assume. He's probably on the Bears at the moment. Should I message him? I'll see if he ends up showing up. Alright, we'll go like this. We'll see whether this works. Let's see whether or not I have any sort of power. There we go. We'll see whether or not he shows up or whether we never see Gareth for the 80 minutes. But now going off to the right-hand side here. Currently on the halfway line, New Zealand with Basin again. This time it was Mosisi. Does play number 8. Hamish, you said you were going to post Argentina versus France, but you didn't. I watched it myself. Argentina pulled an upset and victory. I never said that I was going to do Argentina-France. If you listened, you would have found out that I did say that I was going out for lunch with my mum for her birthday, which is why I wasn't doing that game. And I felt like that was a good decision in the end, like to be slightly awake rather than being completely zombified. Is Tuolangi a second row or a prop for France to replace Antonio? I think they are still looking at him as a lock, although of course he has got a huge amount of size about him, and he could probably play both. He's still young enough that they can make those adjustments. I was summoned, says Gareth. There you go, Nate. There he is. And Ireland might have beaten the Springboks by 1 point, but I'm saddened that this isn't 3 tests to decide it. Agree. Like, everyone wanted to see the third. He could be both. Says Geza. And Olympics coming. Are you covering only the rugby? I think so. I don't know whether or not there's any other sports you guys do want to see us do on the channel. Do let me know if I was to do any, and this is when people normally say beach volleyball, but if there were any other sports that you would like to see us talk about for the Olympics. Sorry, Hamish, happy birthday to your mum. Says Lave there, and also 12 points to 7. Gareth. Oh, no. Okay, it wasn't I Am Nutty who summoned you, Gareth, but he is back in his trolling mood, I have seen. Now it's going to be thrown in nicely by Basin. But yeah, we did a test, Gareth, because Nate was asking where you were. So I had to get the Discord going. Here he is. Afternoon, Mr. Gareth. being Scottish. I don't think that's correct, I'm nutty. It's Gravel, says James. Currently New Zealand. They are sitting 13 minutes left in this half, and they are down by 10, but they are only about 10 metres out from the try line. A little bit of a counter-ruck there from France. They were off their feet, and it's the penalty to New Zealand. What's up, mate? Oh, yeah, I've got there the from Elaine. Can you cover the England versus Spain Euro Cup final? We will not, no. We'll probably watch it. Why isn't angling an Olympic sport? Is it like fishing? I guess it would be quite hard to find the water, wouldn't it? Like, to be fair, like, if you're trying to keep everyone roughly in the same location and you have to go out to sea, can't imagine it would be that easy to organise. Wales 12, Australia 7. And just watched England versus Ireland game on rugby. Gee, you need to get on that site. You're miles better than that guy, says Dennis. We are actually going to be covering, hopefully, the final on, I think it's Saturday night is the plan. But hopefully it doesn't overlap. Offside ref, says IDGAF. Is that a picture of a goose in your picture? Come on, it says IDG or IDGAF. Your name was mentioned. Had to make a shout out, Gareth. Stroll up in the chats, bro. Do you actually have a VPN? If so, who? If don't spam ads? Says I'm nutty. So I got one on my phone, which is a little bit different since it's an app rather than like an online one. Was it a joyful birthday for your mother? And what did you eat for lunch? Says Mono Lagrange. It was a joyful day. I had an all-day breakfast, which I thought was a good idea. I mentioned about it on the stream, so it was in my head that I was going to have such a breakfast. And it just wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. So today, I think I'm going to go to the supermarket as soon as it opens, which is in about 2.5 hours' time. And I think I'm going to cook an all-day breakfast myself. Was it a joyful? Oh, no, I read that one, didn't I? What's the time where you live? For myself, it's 5:36 a.m. For me, it's 5:32, so I think your clock might be a bit fast, but roughly around that same time. That's going to be overthrown by France, but it does manage to find the hands. They look like a tackle off the ball there from one of the French players. He's apologising to him, which makes me wonder whether or not maybe it was not so legal. But New Zealand, they don't have the possession yet. France looking for the cross kick of Hugo Ruiz straight into the hands of the big number 8, and he will score again. He's a star. This man, Matthias Castro Ferreira. I think they may just want to check what happened. Wish your mum a happy birthday from Andrea and myself. Or Andrea, I believe that is from Dennis. Thank you very much. And I would get a medal for New Zealand at fishing. Says drink on the moon. I certainly would not. The only fish that I can normally catch is a kahawai when there's a school of them right off the shore, but other than that, I caught a couple trout last year, and Laver's losing sleep. Should change his clock. Says Cats now, but that is a great run. I want to know what happened out wide in that midfield of what took down Aki Tui Vailala. I didn't see it in that replay. Worked in New Zealand for 6 months. My lunchtime activity was jumping off Auckland building. Nice. Of course, attached to a bungee cord or a harness of some sort, we should mention. That's because that French hasn't won the World Cup. With so much depth, says Albert. Yeah, though sometimes, you just get a little bit unlucky, you could say. And they've been close. They have probably, I don't think this is a wrong statement. Correct me if I'm wrong. France, I believe, are the side that have got the closest to winning a World Cup, but have never won a World Cup. So that takes Australia, England, South Africa, and New Zealand out of the running. France have been in quite a few finals. They've been in a lot of playoff games. I believe the most out of any other side, and they just haven't quite got the job done. That's going to be nicely done. I don't know what happened to my tongue there. It got really big. And correct, says I'm nutty. Agree, says Albert. Now that's going to be kicked downfield. Rico Simpson does pick it up. I think it was almost in the field of play, so he will run it up now. Nice stepping. And France crumble, very fragile mentality. Says Getzer now, and yes, says Geza. And that's another penalty going the way of the French. They are 31 points to 14 up at the moment. We are only 31 minutes through. We had almost 50 points scored. France are 3-time winners in the under-20s. Says D1. I believe so, yeah, including 2020, 23, was it? The last one that we had, or was it 22? And in a row. says Geza. And 2011, they were a miss kick away from winning it. And given 1995 and 2011 conspiracies. And there's only been 5 teams in the finals. 4 of them are the winners in France, if I'm not mistaken, says Gareth. 4 of them in France. Who was the one who, I guess, was that Australia? No. Argentina haven't made a final, have they? Who's the other side that's made the final, Gareth? Outside of the French. Have the Box ever won the under-20s? I'm not actually sure. I know that they're a great side at under-20 normally. New Zealand getting pumped right now, says Razor. And that kick has gone over, so that now makes the score of 34 points to 14, a 20-point difference. Now, New Zealand were down by 11 the last time that these two sides played, but this margin is increasing. And New Zealand need to score before the end of the first half. Are you watching it coming home later, says Jobo? I am going to keep an eye on the Euros, although I've also tempted myself to make a good old-fashioned breakfast. So I think the plan will be watch the Euro final, make a big old hefty breakfast of epic proportions, eat that, and then I probably have to go to bed for a few hours so that I'm not completely sleep deprived, get up and then record 2 or 3 videos, I think, and then also film a couple with Tim after that, try and edit them before tonight, at least one of them, and go from there. So it's going to be a big day is what I'm referencing, but then also alongside that I might have a few hours of work in between. And South Africa, England, New Zealand, Australia winners, and France, says Gareth. And there, and no marks of kicks, restarts. Please, rule change, says Razor Robinson. South Africa and Argentina must be mythed that there isn't. Third test decider, World Rugby must bring back the 3-match series, says Mono Lagrange. And New Zealand not recruiting enough Pacific Islanders. Saw an article, they are taking French Islanders, says I am nutty. And also France came into this game underdogs, now up by 20 points. They did come in as favourites on the New Zealand TAB, as you've mentioned. I'm not sure about the general consensus, of course, in different locations, but here in New Zealand, they were favourites to beat the Kiwis, even though New Zealand won the first match between the two sides. And England, says Geza, as Portia Woodman retiring after the Olympics, she is. I did see that she is going to be hanging up the boots. She'll probably end up doing something based around rugby, whether that's coaching or whether that's maybe a bit of sideline commentary or something like that. I feel like she probably will stick around rugby somehow, but I haven't really heard what her plans are at this stage. That scrum has gone down. There's the big man, Lino Julian. So there's a bit of confusion about what happened in that first scrum in quite some time. We haven't had too many scrums. That's very broad. Says I am nutty. And we have this South Africa won 4 times in the under-20s. Says Monet Lagrange. Like, that's the thing. There's been a lot of depth for the Springboks, and there still is. Like, we look at someone like a Sasha Fainberg Ngumea Zulu, who, after only a minute, had to come onto the field. He's now shown that he actually has the caliber to be that 15 for them once Philly LaRue does make way, or even beforehand. You know, Rugby Hitch posted yesterday about the AB's game. It was a review. I doubt it. He's still on his sabbatical. I also know he was in Prague yesterday, which is why he was unable to film yesterday, and instead we are filming today. So if he filmed one in Prague, that would have been very impressive. All Blacks name based off Blackbirding Islander talent. Says I am nutty, and looks like a 50-plus point game. Yeah, looks like a 50-plus point first half. At the moment, we're already up to 48 points, and we're only 36 minutes through. New Zealand, they are kicking it towards the corner, like the commentators are saying. New Zealand have to score here. They were down by 11 at halftime in the last contest between the two teams. They are currently down by 20. So if they can get a try and convert it, that would put them only 13 points down, which sounds still like a mountain to climb, but their bench was actually what helped New Zealand in the last fixture between the two teams. Looks like Basin has got the call. Go check, I'm not lying, trust me. Says Lave there, that's going to be nicely thrown in. The thing is, though, it wouldn't make sense, I don't think, for him to make his comeback video of All Blacks versus England rather than the match between South Africa and Ireland, seeing as he is a Springbok fan. So I feel like if he got to choose out of the two and which one to be able to cover, I think he would have covered South Africa, Ireland. Now I'm back across to the right-hand side. Attack and run from Basin again. So Mosisi. Oh, rolling it back into the pocket now. Chris Jack. Oh, sorry. Not Chris. Liam Jack, I should say. And some so-called pundits. I should just relax. Ireland won by 1 point from a drop goal. South Africa is still number one. Series shared. Says Neil. Yeah, like I've seen a lot. Like honestly, I went on social media probably just after that game. Just because I was looking through to see, you know, what I could find out about what was happening with announcements and whatnot. And within about 5 minutes, I was like, no, I'm all right. No more social media for me. So, like, it's one of those ones that, like, that was one of those games. And the whole series as a whole, I believe, was one that, if you look at it from a neutral perspective and you take emotion out of it, like, it was just a very hard fought first versus second. And, like, both sides, you could say, deserve one game each. And that's exactly what we got. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, I guess, unfortunately, it sounds bad, but the backlash of that game, because there are already people who are complaining big time, and there were people complaining after the first test. Like, no matter what, you can't go on social media without seeing someone complaining about something, I have noticed. Box still number one team. Only team with 4 World Cups, says Farid. And do you think Ben Tamefuna would be a game changer for the New Zealand under-20s here? He is older than 20, so probably, because that would get them probably disqualified, I assume. Even if New Zealand don't want South Africa listed 2 year in a row. It sucks with South Africa high school hype. Says, I am nutty. And I'm kidding, I was trying to trick you. And whereas the All Blacks under-20 defence is monitoring range, it's a good question. So far they've made 28 tackles. France have made 82. So they have definitely been a lot less busy. I rewatched the Bok Island game and I noticed the Bok wings were very ineffective in Durban with the slow pitch compared to how a big low went. Says Albert. Ooh. So, of course, hindsight's a lovely thing, but does that mean out on the wing, would you have gone with, I guess, who could you have gone with in terms of adding some size out on the wing? Does that ever go like Mapimpi? But he's not that much bigger, if not maybe smaller than Ardenser, isn't he? Who else have they got as the winger options? That's going to be now another free kick, this time going the way of France. Our Bok fans just disappointed, want to win everything. Says Albert. Yeah, like the general rugby fans are all right. Like, no matter what side you look at, like, there are the certain ones who say, yep, fair play, that was the game. And then you have the minority of people who just... But the problem is, there's so many problems in terms of, like, rugby fan bases in some regards. Only a small amount. But we won't go too deep into it because you could sit here for an hour talking about it. What did Joe Moody do wrong? He had dropped to the New Zealand Māori. Just, unfortunately, didn't have enough game time, I don't think, throughout the year. And also, there were better loose head props throughout the season. I mean, we've seen Ethan de Groot doing quite well. I think he's the only... Yeah, he was the only Highlanders player, and this is a France B team for the under-20s. Says, I am nutty, currently sitting 40 metres out from the line, New Zealand, with 30 seconds remaining in this first half. Now, Pledger goes off to the left-hand side. Into the hands of Shavi Kaeli. I think that's almost the first carry. And Moody and Mapimpi are much bigger than Ardenser, and but Moody's injured. Are they? I thought Kurtley Ardenser's like 6 foot. 6 foot something, isn't he? I could be wrong. How tall is the bloke? Yeah. Oh, no, he's only 177. I'm probably thinking of Moody's height on Kurtley Ardenser. How tall is Makazoli? So 177 for Ardenser. 184. Do you play? Got a bit of size about him, Mapimpi. He probably looks much bigger as well when you put him next to someone like a Cheslin Colby. In fact, that's probably the same with Ardenser. Everyone looks big when they're next to Cheslin Colby in that green and gold. And what a French team, says Andre. They're doing very well. That is halftime in this fixture, ladies and gentlemen. 34 points to 14. South Africa Wings showed nothing yesterday due to the fact that Pollard and de Klerk kicked all possession away, says Johan. And yeah, like there are things in that game that both sides will feel like they could have done a lot better. Like Ireland, after their first half, they will feel like they should have had more control of the second, but that was always going to be the case where South Africa, if they had a poor first half, they were going to come out firing, and that's exactly what they did. South Africa play against Portugal, New Zealand plays Fiji. Who's Australia going to play? They are playing Georgia in their fixture. So we will also be covering that one, I believe, on the channel. It'll be an intriguing one. See how the Australians match up with the Georgians at a 17-point nil or 17-point lead up against the Welsh, and then almost lost that game. Have you heard from Rugby Itch this weekend? Love when you guys post with each other. It's always good vibes. Would you agree? Says Lave. I feel like you only listen to some of the stream, Lave. Because, like, I mentioned about it earlier. At that moment where I was saying about how he wouldn't have posted a video because he's in Prague. And I said how, like, the reason we're filming tomorrow, we organised it because he was in Prague. I want to see France under 20 win the 4th straight, says Attell. And Georgia beat Japan, lol, says Albert. Lol, says Nate and Robert. Marcus Smith and Damac are the same age, says I am nutty. And given French long season, no wonder under 20s get exposure early plus 3 layers of funded players, says I am nutty. So I've just made a mistake after mistake. Yeah, that first half, they were pretty disappointed in their performance. But, like, to be able to fight back the way that they did, in terms of come out in the second half and look like a completely different side, like, that is a huge credit to the talent of that team. And, like, a lot of sides, when they're down and not making the right decisions in the first half, some can just drop their heads. But South Africa said, right, now we need to go. It's kind of like what Ireland did in the first test match in the last kind of 10 minutes or so. They went, we've blown this, and now we've got to get back into it, and it's never quite caught up. I would have taken a brave guy or girl to have put a few bob on us to beat South Africa with 10 minutes to go, says Dennis. Yeah, I think Ireland at one point were about $4 underdogs, though, to be able to win in that last 15 or so minutes. Fun fact. $21-12 to Australia. Says I'm nutty. Is EastEnders still going? I've never watched an episode of EastEnders, but I've just had it advertised. What's another one? Coronation Street. I've never watched more than like a few seconds of Coronation Street. I don't think. I'm not entirely convinced on Oz, but I think there is still potential there for Joe Schmidt to Schmidt it in. And I didn't remember because that was 2 days ago, and I was shocked about the All Blacks versus England Test series, says Dave. No, it was on the stream just 15 minutes ago. And 24-12 to Oz, says I am nutty. English drama is trash, says I am nutty. See, I haven't really watched many of those. Like, what are they called? They're called soap operas. That's the name of them. Best soap opera, ladies and gentlemen. We're at halftime. Might as well start a combo. What would you say is the best? I don't even know what a soap opera really is. I always used to think a soap opera was literally like an opera. And then I was like, what does the soap have to do with it? But, you know, it's just like, it's not reality TV either, is it? It's just like, it's just the soap opera. I don't know what else to call it. Marcus Smith, very smart calls leading to the both English tries. He's a dangerous boy. Me and Dad, we watched the replay of some of the highlights. Man, Mark Talia's defence needs to come a long way. Like, if you look at what his spatial awareness was for both of those 2 tries, like, I said it to Dad, and I think a lot of people agreed as well. I don't think I've seen a player have such a poor game in some regards while also scoring 2 tries. Like, looking at just the stats, you'd say he had a very good game. But, you know, like, defensively, he was awful, unfortunately. And also some of his decision-making on attack. Should I call out her name? My ex was UK dating a show, was on a UK dating show, now lives in New Zealand. Says I am nutty. And just a crying shame, there are only 2 games love to see. I'd love to have seen a third as well. Yeah, and I feel like all of the series were close enough between, like, Australia, Wales, New Zealand, England, South Africa versus Ireland, all of those were close enough series that said we should have had a third. Like, even though New Zealand went 2-0 up, and even though Australia went 2-0 up, both opposition in those games still had a very good chance of winning and possibly could have won a third match. South Africa next test against Ireland must be in November next year. Yeah, it's quite far away, unfortunately, because we've got to remember as well, this counts as the Irish tour of South Africa, which I know sounds weird to say because it literally was. But when you think about it, how long in between tours do we normally have? Like, there'll be a French tour, there'll be a Welsh tour, there'll be a English tour, there'll probably be a Scottish tour in there as well. So, like, we're probably a good, 4 years, I would say, away from actually seeing another tour between those two sides. And this time I assume South Africa would head to Ireland. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. So how have France killed New Zealand? I mean, they have just looked like the more clinical side throughout this first half. In terms of their work from their loose forward trio, I think that has gone a little bit underappreciated as well. The way that we've seen Castro Ferreira be able to just go through and run rampage. They just show him one of the highlights of his tries. He's got great hands as well, in terms of being able to catch that ball out wide. We have got there, yes, it would have been nice to see a third match, and his attacks need to work on his defence. Yeah, his attack is fine. And, he was extremely active in terms of getting carries throughout that game. And, there was that one that, unfortunately, they did end up blundering the All Blacks. But overall, Talia, when he gets the ball in hand, more times than not, he will either beat a defender or he will, score a try. But it's just whether or not you can afford to have him out there on the wing. He scored 2 and probably cost New Zealand 3 out on that wing. And yes, you could say that that's pretty critical, and maybe you'd only say he cost them 2. But, yeah, it's one of those ones that, he will know that there are gaps in his game, and it's whether or not he can adapt to that and get better is what will make him either world-class or just that attacking player. I mean, he cost both English tries, bro. He missed so many tackles. Why didn't he attempt that Tommy Freeman try tackle? And that's why I think Caleb Clark and Severin Reese of Clark's ribs are okay. Did you get many watching your commentary yesterday, South Africa Ireland? I think we had about 600 or 700 overall, which is still a lot for the channel compared to the Rugby World Cup. Of course, we're not going to see those numbers again. Maybe even in 2027 we won't see those numbers. So I'm extremely grateful for that competition. But in terms of, I always say anything over 50 is a bonus in terms of viewers, because that way you get that good mix of people messaging, so you are still able to read out all the messages. When you get more than 1,000, you can't read everything, and then I always feel bad that people are putting their time into messaging and then I'm not actually giving them that appreciation of doing the minimum of reading out their message, if that makes sense. Anytime I have a message sitting in the chat for more than a minute, I feel like I have done something wrong, because I feel like that's too long to have without mentioning it, if that makes sense. Will Jordan come back as a 15 or a 14? Puts every reset 11. And we have got there, stop lying, bro. How come only 62 are watching, says Lave. Yeah, no, I don't think listening's your strong point, Lave. He was saying about, if we read it again, just if we sound it out, did you get many watching your commentary yesterday? Oh, what's this part? South Africa versus Ireland. This is New Zealand, France. South Africa, Ireland. So this one, yesterday. Part of the issue is lack of composure to top the comp. And France squads over 3 comps can do that. Says, I am nutty. In 2 years' time, New Zealand is going to tour to South Africa for a 3-match series. There was a soapy with Kylie Minogue. They still run reruns. Oh, what was she on? Was she on Home and Away or Neighbours in Australia? I think it was one of the two. Wait for it, says Blues Nate. We're going to have to do a Google, aren't we? Do I really want Kylie Minogue in my search history? So Kylie, how do you even spell it? Minogue, soap opera. Wait a minute, I'll be able to get this one better if I go Home and Away. Was she on that? Neighbours. She might have been on Neighbours. Yep, she was on Neighbours rather than Home and Away. There we go. My mum would have been able to tell you that probably instantly, rather than me having to have a quick Google. But halftime in this contest, ladies and gentlemen, 34 points to 14. It has been a high-scoring one. 48 points scored throughout the first 40 minutes of this one. As the time zones and the teams who play. The terms is the viewers, or in terms of the viewers, a little bit. More so the teams that play. But then at the same time, like if you've got a New Zealand game, for instance, that's taking place at, let's say, 5 a.m. New Zealand time, you're not going to have as many people watching as if it was a 7 p.m. kickoff here in New Zealand. Oh, because this game is boring, I'm out now, coming back by. Says later, I mean, it is half time, so that will not have a lot of action. And off to burn supper again. What are you having, Dennis? Before you go, sorry if you've already left, but what's for supper? I need ideas. I'm going to cook something tonight just because my mum's birthday was yesterday and we had lunch, but I didn't get to cook her dinner, so I'll cook her dinner tonight, I would say. So I need something nice and something that's decent, you know, and keeping us in the loop. I might watch England versus Spain in the footy. Probably have a shout for the English. I need all the luck, I think, says Dennis. And I want to drink Grey Goose vodka in the morning, or on the moon with Danny Minogue. Chicken pot pie. Okay. I've never made a chicken pot pie, so that might go very badly. What did you get for your mum? Says Albert. That's for me to know, and for me to probably end up telling you anyway. But I am, at this stage, like I haven't got her something. Well, I did get her something. I got her a box of chocolates, but I'm going to take her shopping on Friday because that is her day off work. So I'm going to take her shopping, and she'll probably get like a coat or something, more than likely. Wait, are you talking to me, Hamish? I mean, I was, but then you left. Thanks for reminding me about Mum's birthday. I nearly forgot my own Mum's birthday, July 18th. Says Jonathan. But yeah, I often feel bad that, like, or not so much often, but it's just one of those ones that she has been very busy throughout the days leading up, and I want to make sure that she gets something that she actually wants rather than just me getting her a random thing. Because yes, like, it's nice to get a surprise, but I think she's at that stage where she's like, if I like something, I'll tell you so that you can get it, rather than surprising me. But that's what the chocolates are for. Those are kind of like the side where you, no matter what, she gets something on the day, if that makes sense. Did that make sense? I don't know if it did. I think I explained that really badly. I forgot my son's birthday last year, says Razor Rolls, so that's not ideal. I've seen Canada play a couple of matches. When is America playing? What does their schedule look like? America, they played up against Scotland last weekend, or this weekend that's just passed, and they did lose. Then they played the week before, and they lost to Romania, I believe it was. Which in qualify comp for this one says I am nutty. You're also watching Rugby Under-20 Trophy in Scotland? I am not, no. I haven't been catching up with that one. Second half just about to start, ladies and gents. Having some grapes in the New Zealand changing sheds. They have got about 15 bottles of water on the table for the French. I got you, Hamish. Good thinking. Says Albert there. But yeah, it just seems like the safer option. Plus, to be able to go like shopping with her, the places where they have like decent stuff is 30 minutes away, so you can also take her out for lunch on that day too. You gotta be strategic. Just one of them chicken curry with brown rice. Might throw a few spuds in. Well, I'm Irish. P.S. Look after your mum. You only have one, says Dennis. That is true. Hopefully, I like to think that if anyone asks, she'd say that I look after her. Maybe the bigger box of chocolates wasn't the best idea, but there's a lot of them. He was all right. I just told him we were going out to the big Coup Festival. I then waited for him to forget. I waited on the lads for my rides, meeting up with the rest of the girls and the boys watching the Euro Cup finals. Says a Blues Nate. And there as well, Rico Simpson kicks it off for the second half. I think have hot chocolate and eggs noodles, but not spicy. You don't want to burn your ass in the morning. Have some toast, easy. If not, just search some easy things. Have no idea, says Lave there. It's certainly given me some ideas, Lave. I do appreciate it. That's a good kick downfield. Oh, we got time off already. There's actually been an injury within the first 30 seconds of the second half. I believe it is Alino. Oh no, it's actually going to be Mezu who has got the injury there in New Zealand. This is going to be one of those games that if they can somehow come back from here, it would be absolutely insane. At the moment, New Zealand are not $2.15 underdogs like they are trying to say that they are. No. Okay, they haven't got live odds. But let's go on. What was the biggest upset you've seen in sport? Oh, that's a good question. We've actually covered a few massive upsets. Like, we covered Argentina beating New Zealand. In New Zealand, that was a big one. We covered Ireland winning the New Zealand series. What else have we covered? And I mean, the sevens, like, there's been a lot of, like, upsets, but at the end of the day, like, that's always going to happen because it's only 14 minutes. Box Japan, sadly, we didn't cover that one on the channel. That was just before our time, well, in fact, a long way before our time of doing YouTube. I think we're up to, this is about 4 years since we started YouTube now. That's quite a long time, ladies and gentlemen. That's a World Cup cycle. And last under-20 team to West Indies final. That's true. The West Indies, wait. In home country. So yeah, West Indies versus Australia, I would say, was the biggest one we've covered on the channel in terms of the West Indies getting themselves the win on away soil. Like in a game where they were given 2% chance to win at the start of it. So like, yeah, that was a massive one for the Windies. And then sadly, they've just recently lost to England by quite a margin. Boil up juice and just throw 2-minute noodles in. Okay. It's an idea. What about, this is a terrible idea. I was going to say, why don't you chuck some tomato sauce in a pan, chuck the noodles in, and then call it spaghetti. But then you could also just get a can of spaghetti, couldn't you? And then just put that in a pan. But yeah, I'm not going to do that, by the way. That is not a meal that I've ever made, nor would I ever want to actually eat that. I can't imagine that would be very nice, having spaghetti made of 2-minute noodles and tomato sauce. In fact, that's not keen. What do you like? Eggs, noodles, toast, bacon, orange juice, a mince and cheese pie. That really easy to make. Put it in the microwave for 2 minutes. Bacon, egg, McMuffin. France killing New Zealand with the B team. Says I am nutty there. It's going to be nicely thrown in over the top. And once again, that ball is going to be there for the French. It wasn't a knock-on from New Zealand. Right, it's still there for France. I'm going to the right-hand side now. I do feel bad that the first game of the Under-20s Championship that we're going to cover for New Zealand is more than likely going to be a defeat, but I'd like to think it wasn't completely our fault. What about the Irish beating Pakistan in the World Cup cricket? Bit of an upset. That is true. USA beating Pakistan as well, I think, would have been a big one. That's the thing. It's definitely one that, like, depending on the games you look at, or depending on the sport, like, we've probably seen, for me anyway, like, in terms of the last football big upset I can remember would have been Saudi Arabia beating Argentina, when Argentina went on and won the whole World Cup. Like, that is a massive win for Saudi Arabia. Was it legit? I hope so, but, you know, that was a big one for that Football World Cup, that the Saudis managed to get themselves that big win. A bacon bones juice. So when New Zealand beat them by tactics or quality players, I think a little bit of both. I think that you can't underestimate this French side in terms of what they have been able to do throughout this contest. They have been the much more clinical team. And go all natural, cut and dice tomato, boil water, add diced tomatoes into water, put it in the microwave for 2 minutes, add pasta, spag bowl. Says Razor. That's close to a turnover, but the ball is still going to be there for the French. What do you think of the 3-match test series between South Africa and New Zealand in every 4 years? I like the idea of it. Billy LaRue getting his head on the wrong side of low. I was a brain fart, eyes closed, Hail Mary type tackle. Gone after a minute. That cost the box. That shouldn't depend so much on him. Yeah, although Tasha Feinberg Ungumezulu, I think he actually looked really, really good at 15. And out of the whole Springbok side, he was probably one of their best players out there on the field. And of course, it is impossible to know how Billy LaRue would have gone had he been on the field for longer. But I think Ungumezulu overall, the attack threat that he added was massive. This is beautifully done by France, almost getting over the try line again. They're currently 5 metres out. It's going to be Massa, who now bounces out of one challenge. If they score now, I would say that this game is going to be over. We have got, do you remember me from last night? There's Sons of Virgins. That is a great try. Round the side, he's got his hat-trick. Matthias Castro Ferreira. I do indeed remember you. The reason I remember you, though, is a little bit of a weird reason. And that's because, like, your first 3, like, words of your name are actually, I don't think you've done it on purpose, but it's kind of a reference to a YouTube channel that I used to watch. So that's why I remembered it a little bit more. Did that give you a couple of ideas? Because I don't know. Oh, I'm going to search some ideas. Oh, search some ideas just for you. So if you wonder where I am, I'll be looking some stuff up for you. There's Lev. We do appreciate that, of course. I'm thinking something with chicken and bacon. Got to have chicken with bacon. That's just a dream combo. William has said hi, welcome in. Or Willem, in fact, welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing well. Hugo Royce just about to line up this kick. And that one is over. 41 points to 14. Shout out, please. So shout out to you, Sons of Virgins Fishing Team South Africa. There you go. Do you catch a few fish? I would assume with a name like that you would have to. And I argue that JC Pretorius is more deserving of a Bok jersey than Mr. Fenberg. I think you'd lose that argument but for a lot of people. And long time says Willem. And there as well. How long's it been, Willem? Oh, little short kickoff attempted from New Zealand, and they managed to retain it, doing the Richie Mo'unga there with Rico Simpson. The channel you're thinking of is Modest Pelican. It certainly is, yep. Did you search it, or did you already... Is that the reason that you've got it? Out of curiosity? Because if it is, that would be quite funny. Rico Simpson now going off to Mosisi Basin. Another run from Liam Jack. Tyrone Green is hands down the best South Africa. 15 they have. Says Albert. Nice work from France again. I have watched you all the time now. I'm back. Says Willem in there as well. Oops. Tipped me water over. And that's going to be taken back. Oh. Okay, the referee said it. I stole his idea. If I'm being honest, there's tons of virgins there. Very good YouTube channel, though. Modest Pelican. Hits the funny bone, doesn't he? And he would be very proud because, of course, I am hydrating. Rico Simpson's arresting 92 rumours. And hey, what's up, buddy? Long time I see you. Says Cody, welcome in, mate. Since we've seen you last, we've had almost a whole Cricket World Cup competition, I believe. So, were you happy overall with how the World Cup went? I assume you would have been. Are we over there? Anyone know when the new series of Sons of Anarchy? Sons are the Yards? See, I've never watched Sons of Anarchy. I think George has. I think he's watched a bit of that, but I haven't watched a lot of shows or movies. I'm really behind. But if I ever decide that I'm really going to pick it up, I've got so much stuff that I can watch. How long have you been doing YouTube? About 4 years now, which sounds crazy. But yeah, about August 2020, I believe it was, that we first did a video. And then I think our first live stream would have only been a month or two after that. But that's a nice cross kick there. Oyata Biasotto, inside ball, 22 metres out from the line. Now that is the turnover for New Zealand. Josh Smith, who's actually the number 18 in the last game up against the French. Got himself yellow carded, non-scheduled. There's Robert. And also, ever try eating orange peel? Someone told me ages ago. Good for the sore throat. I've thought about trying it. I always end up with an orange peel, though. I don't know if this is just a me thing, but I end up squeezing the orange peel and watching the zest shoot out. That sounds weird, doesn't it? But if you do it when there's like some light, you can actually see all the zest go straight across. Our lockdown's really got a lot of new things started, says Albert. Yeah, although I think we were just before the lockdowns, I believe, that we started doing it for Rugby Challenge. 11 years wait over. India finally ended the wait for the World Cup after South Africa choke again. What's your Instagram? We have got a Kiwi Lads Instagram, which is probably the one we use more. There you go. That is the Kiwi Lads Instagram. The Mayan series was a flops, rotten tomato. Says Blues Nate, and 41-13 to France with almost 14 for New Zealand. That's going to be a 50-22 attempted by the Kiwis. The ball is just going to stay in the field of play, cleaned up by the replacement back. Kicks it down the middle of the field. And now it's going to be Tali, goes across to Rico Simpson. You need to get out more, says Dennis. Oh, that was high from Stanley Solomon. That looked a little bit dodgy. Right, it was a tackle on the kick play on by the sounds of it. But yeah, I feel like you guys have just seen the one time that I don't do any editing or anything. I'm playing with oranges. It's not that exciting. Quick tap taken by Dylan Pledger, trying to get the momentum rolling forward. And it's going to be another penalty going the way of New Zealand. It sounds like it's going to be a yellow card here for France for not being back the 10 metres. I'm thoroughly looking forward to cooking breakfast now that I think about it. We're currently 6:11 a.m. The sad thing is I have to wait 2 hours before the supermarket opens. And this game's going to be finished in 30 minutes. France humbling New Zealand. Wow, says Xander. And that's why but Rico Simpson, he is going to kick this one into the corner. Yeah, currently 27 points difference between these two sides. I was trying to find chicken. There's this thing you have to cook it. Because if you didn't know you wanted to, because I didn't know if you wanted to cook it. Okay, what is it, Lave? Who won the test between All Blacks and England? England did lose that second test, unfortunately, but they played good enough to win. I couldn't find your Instagram. I'll check it just now. Says Sons of Virgins there. But yeah, it's Kiwi or _Kiwi_lads. Oh, they're checking the TMO. This was really done by Stanley Solomon, by the way. You think Ireland deserve the victory? I think so. I think that they played some brilliant rugby throughout that first half, and all credit to South Africa for the way that they came back in that second half and tried to get themselves the victory, but in the end just wasn't quite enough. Yeah, that's a bit high from Stanley Solomon. Do you have Twinkies in New Zealand? They used to have them, but now Twinkies don't... I don't think they do Twinkies anymore, do they? I think they got disbanded. What about making some balut for your mum? I have no idea what balut is, so I probably will not make that. Scrambled eggs on toast with real butter, says Dennis. Yeah, see, I feel like if I'm going to cook a breakfast, got to have eggs in there, got to have a bit of bacon as well. Right, it's going to be a yellow card for Stanley Solomon. Now the question is, does that yellow card of France get taken away? It probably should, to be honest, because it did happen after the yellow card, and I think that might be what the French under-20, do you just do ruggers on your channel? We've done some cricket. We also do a little bit of gaming, mainly based around rugby on the channel, but we've got a few other videos about. On the Kiwi Lads Entertainment channel, which is one of our other ones, me and one of the other Kiwi Lads, George, we've done like reactions to random clips and all that kind of thing. So if you like swearing, that is probably the channel for you, as we say a lot of things on there. When your cricket matches start, so that we can see some cricket vlogs. I think we're probably 2 months away, 3 months from cricket season starting. I'm going to have to start trying to get into shape, or at least slightly have some fitness about me, or else I'll get injured within 5 seconds. But we've still got like 12 games from last year, and some from the year before, I believe, that I haven't even uploaded. So I definitely need to get round to that, because they have been waiting long enough, the cricket viewers. The last one was a little short. Says, right, yeah, it was a very short video, that one. What's your other channel? So it is called the Kiwi Lads Entertainment. I don't think I've got a link, but I think it's a connected, you know how, oh no, they've got rid of that tab, didn't they, on YouTube, how they had like a channels connection. But yeah, if you just search on YouTube the Kiwi Lads Entertainment, it's a very similar logo to this one, except it's just, I believe it's red, I believe. Oh, that's a good turnover from New Zealand. They managed to take that ball back. Now back into the pocket. Pledger goes away to Rico Simpson. That's going to be partially charged down. Now on the outside. Nice bit of work there. Coming from... Oh, no, it was a full pass. That's going to be now... Well, the French player sitting there going like that to the referee in his face. That's not going to go well. A very good steal in the breakdown. To be able to get that turnover. I enjoyed your umpire of it a lot. Yeah, it was fun. I'm just not the best umpire, I don't think. I think I'm too indecisive to be an umpire. So, like, you'll see a couple of controversies in later games that I've umpired as well. I got taken into website Kiwi Lads Entertainment XXX. Yeah, you don't have the X's on the end. And chicken, pepper, garlic, paprika. That sounds alright. Might have to give it a go. Stick some bacon in there as well. I don't know why, but I want to use some bacon. I'll probably buy bacon. It's modern. Bok Future is Zulu at 10. And Tyrone Green at 15. There's Albert there. Because what is the go with Tyrone Green? Is he eligible for another side soon, Albert? Is that what I've heard? Because he's been playing in England for a while. Is he an English eligibility option for the future on the home channel? I still have all 4 tabs, and it is red. Says Robert, little grubber in behind from New Zealand, waiting for the ball to set up, and once again the ball is going to be dropped. This time by Tuive Lala. We should play rugby on PC, Rugby 25 beta out now. It is indeed. We did a live stream on it. We'll probably do a video once international rugby does slow down a little bit. It's just been a bit hectic lately with the amount of games that are taking place. But in that gap between the Rugby Championship and the internationals finishing, I think we're going to end up doing some videos on it. Maybe a career mode if they do end up adding that in soon, hopefully. That's the first for the wrap and also just for the drink, siding over orange juice or tea. For the very first time, I'm seeing New Zealand trailing big in rugby. It is New Zealand, or is this New Zealand side too weak? I mean, they've done well throughout the rest of the competition, the under-20s, but, it's a red card for Stanley Solomon. Wow. That's a big mistake from Stanley Solomon. Head on head, he is gone for the rest of this game. And Solomon red card, worst losing record of any New Zealand side ever. And Green will qualify for residence in the UK this year. But in an interview, he said his dream is to play for the green and gold. Okay, so that is good news for South Africa that he is looking that way. If you love fishing, does anyone watch Bummer Bass on YouTube? Massive fish ponds, could swim in it. Says Blues Nate. I think George watches. For some reason, George has watched a lot of things that I have not. Like, I'm going to have a quick look. Because I think this is a channel that George watches. Oh, New Zealand illegally. This sounds like it's going to be another bit of trouble for them. Okay. The referee has just reversed the penalty. It was going to be going the way of France. And Leo Carbonneau was screaming in the ref's face. So from there, the referee reversed the decision. And sending Solomon off to Japan next year, says Razor. Hard enough playing this French team with 15, never mind 14. And the clock time froze. Yeah, we are currently 54 minutes through now. Then start cooking that chicken. Says Laven, watching Hamish. Says the Blues, Nate. Bama Boss. I don't know why it hasn't come up. There it is. Oh, Bama Bass rather than Bama Boss. My bad. Just recently had 1 million subscribers as well, I do see. There we go. I have subscribed, so I will be able to watch it at some stage. 22 meters out. Bama Bass is weird. Says Albert. I'm weird, though, so, like, depends on what type of weird. That's a nice pass on the outside. New Zealand will score. It's their first one in a long time. That is King Maxwell, who has been able to score it. If he ever became a king, he would be King King. The more you know. And true, cheers, Hamish. Cheers, Blues, Nate. Nice pass on the outside. King Maxwell manages to get that try for New Zealand. They are slightly back in, but they are a long way from winning this contest at this point, OMG. Test Stewart more. Like they've said, it's a long way to go. Both sides are playing with only the 14 men on the field. Stanley Solomon will be off for another 15 minutes. Damn, under 71.5 dead, says Jeremiah. How many points are we at the moment? That is a misconversion, though. We're up to 60. Yeah, it's going to be a bit tight, Jeremiah. There is still a chance, though, that they could be under, but it's just probably the rear chance out of the two. New Zealand, they are 3 converted tries away from being 1 point down. So in the last 25 minutes, that is I thought that was a terrible kickoff, but it was a second ball on the field that they ended up kicking away. I'm still surprised that Boyd Gallardo got his yellow card after. Oh, that's a big shot. And that was too high, unfortunately. Rode up a little bit. And his foot was still in the air. Oh, going over there. Kuri Karaba actually giving the handshake to the player that he did tackle. So nice sportsmanship being shown by that man. He looks like a real talent. In fact, this whole loose forward trio looks like they have got a bright future for the French side. Yeah, these are the type of names that we will be seeing in 2 or 3 years' time. And, oh, 1 foot was down, so a little bit unlucky, but he did also tackle him just a tad high. Oh, that's not straight from New Zealand. Rough throw, I should say, from Letu. No defence here, says Jeremiah Johnson, which normally you do see in terms of the under-20s. There will be a lot more tries being scored, and start by adding Greek yogurt, sweet peppers, parsley. I love that spelling of parsley, by the way, because you'd think that's the way that it sounds, isn't it? And some lemon. This is for the sauce. Blend up, says Lave. I will mention I probably won't remember all of this, Lave, just off the top of my head. So if you tell me what it's called, like the dish, I will have much more chance of like Googling it and finding one. They're just saying there the scoreline doesn't actually read right in terms of the amount of defence that France have had to make throughout this game. And that's another big push from New Zealand, and they get the scrum penalty there. A big push in the front row. Oh, one of the French players there was getting in the face. I think New Zealand, one of their players said something and gave him a push, and the French player was going like that, saying, look at the scoreboard. The scoreboard, New Zealand have slowly got their momentum back a little bit. It was a big scrum from New Zealand. They have had the strongest scrum throughout the 2 matches up against this French side, which is probably the one part of the forwards game that they will be disappointed with. Very happy with that one. New Zealand's coaches, homemade peppermint crisp tart is my favourite, says Albert. Now, looks like they are going to go to the left-hand side. Nice step coming in from, it would have been Taeli. New Zealand coming back, says John. Yeah, they have got the momentum at the moment, but they have to make sure that they stay on the front foot here. Like I mentioned, they need 4 tries, or at least 3 tries and some sort of something. Make some Borua's rolls. I did see them at the supermarket about 1.5 years ago. I mentioned about it on a live stream, and I didn't get them because I thought, oh, they're going to have them all the time. And sadly, since then, they have not had them back. So I should have taken that opportunity. I could have put them on it's the barbecue here, but of course, you got to braai them. That's going to be a nice run for another try for New Zealand. They've got themselves one more. Are they going to get back into this one? There's still so many points to go, but there's still a lot of time left, more than 20 minutes remaining in this game. There's a good attack and run there. And keep pushing New Zealand, says Kulinaisi. Rico Simpson, he is 1 from 2 today. Is he? Who was kicking earlier? If he's only 1 from 2, surely New Zealand have had more kicks. At the most, France just ran out of petrol. They may have. Their bench, once again, in the first game, New Zealand were better. Like, in the second half when their subs have been made. It's just mince sausage barbecue flavoured. And man, they finished score 100, says Jeremiah. That one is missed from Rico Simpson. I guess the question would be, Jeremiah, if you were to lose, I assume you've got a bet on. If you were to lose a bet, would you prefer to lose it by a large margin or a thin one? So like, if they score 100, I feel like that's almost better for you, isn't it? Because that way it's like, oh, no matter what I had picked for the, like if I had said 75 points or less or anything like that, you'd still be, I've tried chicken with peanut butter. It's so good. Or some beef burgers with peanut butter. See, I know that chicken satay has got peanut butter in it, doesn't it? Or some types do, or they have a peanut sauce with it. I have no idea, Amish. I'm sorry, that's all right. You're giving me some good ideas. Protein chicken wraps. I have to give them a go. And that's why I've always said, don't look for a fight. Just look at the scoreboard, says Mono Lagrange. And they let them score 41 first half, lol. And it should be ashamed, says Jeremiah. And a loss is a loss, man, says Jeremiah. Okay, so it doesn't matter how much it's by, it's just still. But imagine if it was a last minute, like 3 points in the very final moment. It's going to be kicked high. And just going the 10 metres, France are going to end up with the possession. And they are through again. Great attack and run. And that's going to be a knock on there from the French, cleaned up by New Zealand with Matt Lowe. Can I enjoy the stream now, Hamish? Says Lave. I guess you can. You did say that the rugby had got boring, so I guess we gave you a task to keep you entertained, which is a good idea, I thought. A great kickoff from Hugo Ruiz, getting a lot of height on it. And dig deep, New Zealand, never give up. Keep going, stay focused, says Colin Icy. And there as well, but I believe it is going to be a French. Oh no, it's going to be a New Zealand line out, I should say, from that advantage. We'll have to wait and see whether or not they can. That is a very high kickoff. Just going the 10 metres as well, but New Zealand, they are going to have themselves the scrum from inside of their own half. In fact, about 30 metres out from their line. To wait and see if they can get out of there. It's now set. It's over for the New Zealand under-20s. 24 points to 41. That is going to be the penalty now in favour of New Zealand. They will make more metres here. They still need 3 more tries. They want to get themselves the victory. And that one's gone into touch. Do you think that your mental strength plays a big part in rugby? I do believe so. Like, I've talked to Norm Maxwell quite a bit, who is an ex-All Black, and he always talked about like the mental side of things as well being just as important as the physical. Because like he said, when you get to a certain level, everyone is capable enough in terms of the strength, in terms of the pace, everything like that. But the thing that often will separate teams is how they approach it mentally and how they are able to adjust in games, rather than, like, you could be the strongest player in the world, but if you can't get your head in the game in the moments when it matters, you're not going to be able to use that strength to your advantage. So yeah, I'd say that it does play a big factor. Like, oh, that's an intercept, and that is going to play on the mentality of New Zealand, as that is the second game in a row up against the French that we have seen a runaway interception try. France will dominate under 20s, all of them. Fully seasoned pros, says IDGAF. And also 18 minutes to go. These dudes are just letting them score, says Jeremiah. Never back down, New Zealand, never surrender. Every inch counts. And unfortunately, that one pass was incorrect from Simpson. Went straight into the hands of, once again, it is Kweri Karaba. He is going to be a big player for France in the future. I can tell you that right now. Same with the man at number 8, Matthias Castro Ferreira. Here's another one that will be certainly one to watch out for. But France, that should almost seal the deal for them in this matchup. New Zealand started their little bit of a comeback, but then from there, the French, they shut it down. And French under-20s always are getting other teams under their skin, because the French under-20s are always dominant, says Monet Lagrange. Although it does seem to be still scrum timers where they do struggle a little bit, which is quite interesting. Richard McCoy had extreme mental strength. because no matter what the Box did, he couldn't beat New Zealand, or we couldn't beat New Zealand if he played, says Albert. And I mean, when you look at that guy after his rugby career as well, still flying helicopters, still doing like triathlons or like marathons and stuff like that, is just engraved in his brain to try and push himself to that next level, and that is what you need. Like when you are at the top of your game and also when you are playing at an international level. But yeah, the fact that he's still doing like 18K competitions and all that stuff, doing Ironmans and all that is just insane. If you truly want to see best young players, make it under 23s. Like every other sport, says IDGAF, and gutting for them. And Hamish, have you saw any New Zealand cricketers walking in the streets in public? I have not, no. But when I was in Christchurch, I got to see them play, which was quite awesome, up against the Australians. It was that second test where they almost got themselves into a position to be able to win it. And then, unfortunately, just making those mistakes near the end of, I think it was that fourth day, wasn't it? Or maybe the third day, and then we had the fourth. Now, New Zealand getting another offside penalty. They are back to needing 4 tries in the last 16 minutes. We know that it doesn't take very long to score a try in this under-20s competition because we have already seen about 9 of them, if not maybe more, throughout this game. All right, we'll go like this. That's nicely taken. And now, rolling 40 and Matt Lowe. Why isn't cricket a winter sport? Just because here in New Zealand anyway, it gets too wet. So the ball never dries and then, you know, your ball goes soft pretty much instantly, which sounds a bit weird. But, like, yeah, playing in, and also it's just almost too short. Unless you play in T20. T20 is normally fine. I know that they play cricket in Australia during the winter. They're currently in the cricket season. I do believe I met Sachin Tendulkar and Brian Lara during a job assignment in Zimbabwe years ago. New Zealand are very close to the line here. Counter ruck coming in. The hands were down from the French counter ruck. I'm surprised that they haven't given away the penalty there. Now, big attack and run, and he is just over the line. That is a great bit of work from the number 6, Andrew Smith. He saw his opportunity for the pick and go and does get it. How many tries is that now in this game, ladies and gentlemen? France have scored, they've had a couple 3-pointers, haven't they? But overall, they've scored at least 6 tries, if not maybe 7. And then New Zealand, they have scored themselves, I think that's now 4 or 5. So we've had more than 10 tries in this contest. And that kick has gone over. New Zealand now move up to 31 points to 48. One thing can be certain in the second half, New Zealand may be down, but they are still trying. But in winter, it is so painful if you hit with the ball. That's why it is played in summer. I mean, that might also play a bit of factor, but I think it's also just the shortened days as well. Like, you got to wait for the dew on the surface to end up going away, which doesn't happen until, you know, early afternoon, and then it starts up again afterwards. I think New Zealand are asking the French to hurry up. Get back to the halfway line. I can't wait to see all these under-20s join the big leagues when they meet the All Blacks in France so they can improve. Says Alive, that's going to be a loose ball. New Zealand not taking it cleanly, and that will now be the scrum for the French. Getting hungry, New Zealand, or get hungry. It's around breakfast time here in New Zealand, so the boys will probably be getting a little bit peckish. This will be their last. No, in fact, they'll have one more game taking place in the next one. Whoever loses this game faces Ireland, and whoever wins this game will face England in the final. At the moment, it does seem like it's going to be a French-English final. New Zealand versus Ireland. That'll be a good matchup. Now the scrum. Once again, this is taking a long time. Good effort by New Zealand to come back. Yeah, like if New Zealand can somehow get 1 or 2 more tries, at least on the scoreboard, it doesn't look awful. Like 48 points conceding is pretty brutal, but then that is under 20. Sometimes you get really high scoring contests. We saw Fiji versus Georgia was 40 points to 34. Nice backline movement here for the French, who of course want to bring up that 50 points over the ball there. And does he get the turnover? No, he's given away the penalty. Quick tap taken now by France, but they weren't on the mark. France are always dominant in the under-20s. It's a pity. They can't transfer that form into Rugby World Cups. Says Mornay Lagrange, although we talked about it earlier, France are, I believe, the best side to have never won a World Cup. Can you post a Rugby 22 video game? In career mode, be Samoa. Are they licensed in Rugby 22? I think they have some of their players, don't they? But do they have the whole team? They might do. Rugby 22, like, I never minded that game that much. Rugby Challenge 4 I would prefer, but then they don't have Samoa license, so it would have to be a modded team is the only thing. Now 10 metres out, well, probably about 7 from the line. Nicely claimed. Here it comes again, the big run from that man who has hardly been stopped, Castro Ferreras, throughout this game. And goes to show how tough it is to transition from junior to senior rugby. That is going to be a cross kick there from Royce. And he finds the man on the outside. Another try. 50 points now up on the board for the French. Goes to show how tough it is to transition from junior to senior rugby. Yeah, like the step up in competition is pretty massive. And that's why France, I believe, are one of the best at the moment in terms of like bringing their young guys into competitions and team environments from an early age. Because we've seen that for these guys, like half of them play in the top 14 already. And they're only under 20. New Zealand, I think like these guys play in the under 20s New Zealand competition, but playing up against grown adults over the age of 20 can drastically improve your game because you get to play those guys. With the experience game over, come on England. And I'm not talking about football, says Attell there. And damn, another great try, says Andre. Who's that guy that joined you for the 2023 Waratahs vs Crusaders game? Probably Rugby Itch. Oh no, maybe it could have been George, it could have been Isaac. I think one of those two would have been the most likely. 2023 Waratahs Crusaders game. One moment, we're going to have to Google. That one has gone over, so now makes the score 55 points to 31. We'll go Kiwi Lads Waratahs versus Crusaders 2023. It's George. How did you find that live stream? Why were you watching that one out of all of them? But I forget what ones we've actually had guests on, to be honest. I should make like little notes of it. And come on, All Blacks, says Carlos, and New Zealand need to do better than that. Says Colonisi there. And damn, another great try, says Andre. And rugby is very popular in France, says John. It is. Right, this is a scrum for New Zealand. As they've taken too long, can you please just do a video game? Anything you like, just something to entertain us for the time being, says Lave. Oh, you're talking about like doing it right now. See, I thought you were talking about doing it like in the future. But you want me to play a game now? Oh no, you said video game the first time. Wait, does George live with you? He does not know. He lives about 10, 15 minutes away. So it's not too bad. Now ball's going to be fed in here. Chance at the back, going off to the right-hand side. Rico Simpson now in behind. That's a good attack and run. To the left-hand side again. Good handling from New Zealand. Time Johnny Lee. Nice inside ball from Pledger. Gets it away to Ta'ali. Now again, Carrick. This is better from New Zealand in terms of the phase play. And Frozen Slim Game as sets up. Welcome in. Not like tomorrow morning or the day after, Hamish, please. I mean, we've got a few more videos that will be coming out on the channel in the very near future. We will have our All Blacks prediction for what they could go with up against Fiji. We will have our XV video for what we think the All Blacks, or what I would like to see for the All Blacks in that game. We will have our Fiji predicted lineup just because, you know, we've seen a bit of the Fijian rugby. Hopefully we can get it somewhere close, which I don't think it will be a mile off what they had throughout the Barbars as well as that game up against the Georgians. Other than that, what else have we got? We got the Springboks lineup prediction as well as the Springboks lineup video that will be coming out. And by the way, who is your pick to win the Euro Cup between Spain and England? I honestly have not watched a single game of the Euro so far. I will be watching the final because I'm very curious to see who wins it. Did you give Wallace Satiti a go? Yeah. yeah, I feel like this is the game where you have to give all those young guys the opportunity. It's just that question of, do you start them or do you have them coming off the bench? Currently 5.5 minutes remaining. The referee has just given some interesting advice at scrum time. He is said to get high. Of course, in the scrum, what he is referencing. French defence is strong as an overcooked baguette, says Razor. And also we got there Spain from Frozen in there as well. And Bok team selection for Portugal is going to be very interesting. It's going to be very hard to predict, isn't it? Because you would think that they'd go with all the changes pretty much throughout their lineup. But at the same time, you wonder whether or not they would try and right some of the wrongs from last week in terms of players who didn't do too well. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it ends up going. I will ask you a question though, Albert. Hopefully you do know the answer. I'll have to Google it if not. But the players who were released to play for their Curry Cup teams, are they still eligible to play? Or not so much are they eligible, but are they going to play or in the selection status for Portugal? Or are they still going to be in the Curry Cup until the Rugby Championship? The likes of Amakazole Mapimpi, surely he is going to be back for the Portuguese game, isn't he? Or are they now out of there? And Cortez Ratama had a decent game because he was an unexpected injured. Says Lave, have you gone to the pub and do party and hang out with women? Any experience? Not a huge amount. I was at the pub yesterday, but that was for lunch with my mum. So I guess in a way, in fact, in a completely different way, right? I went to the pub yesterday. It was my mum's birthday, so we could consider that as the party. Hung out with women. My nana and my mum were there. Any experience? It was yesterday. But, of course, not in the way that you are talking in terms of the party. And New Zealand says Carlos there with the sad face. And also French 20 is a big bopper. And they will definitely be available for Portugal. Just one game released. I thought that was the case because I was worried when I saw how many he did release. I think it was like 8 or something. And I was like, uh-oh. Like, if they end up with a couple injuries, that's going to be another penalty going the way of New Zealand. They've only got 3.5 minutes remaining. They would love to bring up 40 points. They've taken the quick tap. And once again, throwing the forwards at the line. That time it was low. I guess they have plenty of experience, 15 plus years. So here's Razor. That's going to be the knock on this time from New Zealand, though. I think Liam Jack, the one who's dropped there, the New Zealand coaches are laughing about it. And Curry Cup players are available to play against Portugal. So here's Morne Lagrange in there as well. So yeah, the selection is going to be pretty broad overall. Which South African winger is most dangerous, Cecilin Colby or Kirtley Arendse? I think Kirtley Arendse now, like Colby's good, don't get me wrong, but I've seen a lot that Colby's been doing slightly wrong lately, but he's still very good. Bok had big injury concerns. But that's the other thing. They've got players on standby, don't they? So theoretically, Willie Leroux will not be available due to a head knock. So does that mean they're allowed to bring in one of their standby players for Willie Leroux? Or is that not allowed? I don't know what the system is with HIR. I assume they can bring in a new player. So then we could actually see someone like a Juan Horn or I don't know who else is right on the cusp of getting in. Ethan Hooker could come into the side or something along those lines. Arendse was my player of the year in rugby URC, says Jimbo. And also under 20 and seniors not the same, says Kalanaisi. That is true. The age is the main factor. And evening all says Jimbo. Hope you are keeping well, mate. 2 minutes left in this contest between the two sides. New Zealand will be defeated here, but they want one last try. Getting dragged down. That is another one that has gone the way of France. Going back across to the right-hand side now. Kicking behind from Ruiz. Doesn't find the touchline. Here comes Isaac Hutchinson. He sat down a player. Breaking forward. Gets the flick out the back door. Little nutmeg from the replacement 21 hungover Hamish. And we have there, gosh, imagine how good Ben Tamafuna would be in the under-20 sides. He'd have the size advantage over a lot of them, the big man from Tonga. And we have good there, what better to do than to hear some commentary after waking up from a nightmare, says Simran in there. Although, to be fair, New Zealand would also consider this game slightly a nightmare, but probably of a different stage. Hope you are all right. Hungover Hamish, says Jimbo. I thought you might be. after the celebrations. And what if Talia is injured? Who will be the winger in the Fiji game? Probably Caleb Clark, and I think he will be anyway. Hook and Esteisen will probably be the box centres for Portugal. So you think they will bring in Hooker, seeing as he wasn't in the initial named squad for the injury of Villy LaRue? It's so weird. If you don't watch a channel for some time, YouTube stops sending notifications of your channel, even if I'm subscribed. Yeah, YouTube have the algorithm that I have no idea how it works. That's a nice take from Rico Simpson. Was tackled in the air. Looks like the referee is going to say play on, and there was a knock on again from New Zealand. Edward van der Merwe will be the next Zealand Colby, especially that sidestep. Says Morne, yeah, Talia's bad, I'm dropping him. Says Razor. And that is going to be the full-time siren. We're going to have the scrum first by the sounds of it, says the referee. But once this ball goes in and out, France will make their way through to the final to take on the English, looking to make it another title for their French under-20s. Rassi said yes regarding Hooker being because he was at the camps. Ooh, so that'll be a little bit of a shout. See, he was more 12, wasn't he? Or was he more 12 or 13? I think he was more 13, wasn't he? During the URC, who they have at 12? Harold Foster? No, not Foster. Costa, wasn't it? At 12 for the Sharks. Now, back into the pocket. France will kick the ball out, and they make their way through to the final. New Zealand will play Ireland in their next contest. That is going to be in the weekend. 13, says Albert. Do you think they will pull the trigger on Esteisen and Hooker as the combo? Or do you think they'll give Lukhanyo some minutes at 13, seeing as he hasn't had any yet? Defensive work on. Needs more work. New Zealand under-20s. And none of these guys blitz into the AB squad, says Razor. Yeah, I don't think... there's a couple guys who I think still stepped up. Like Liam Jack looks like a very handy option at lock for the Kiwis. I would say that... say Dylan Pledger maybe in the future. He looks a little bit similar to the way that Noah Hotham plays. Maybe because they were both a part of that under-20 setup. Any more to come after this? None at all. The Euros is just about to start, I believe. That matchup between England and Spain, but we won't be covering it on the channel. Instead, we will be just watching that one, and then I will be cooking myself some breakfast, which I am. If I said that I'm not excited, I would be lying. And I hope that it is good. Fingers crossed, anyway. Who's going to win? New Zealand versus Fiji. Score prediction, says Lave. We will be doing one of those on our preview. I'll have to see the lineups first, I think. Amos lost a lot of speed after big injury, so Hooker and Andre. Although, yeah, like I don't think Lukhanyo is anywhere near the player that he was, but I still think that Rassi may give him a shot here just to see if he has got something still in the tank, if that makes sense, because like he's not going to get any slower, I don't think, from where he is now, hopefully, anyway. And Razor will only take the very best for the All Blacks, says Colonasi. And there as well, but nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We will be back next week with plenty more rugby. In fact, this week, now, seeing as we are 7 a.m. here in New Zealand. But thank you all very much for tuning in, and I will see you all for the next one.